Lay back and enjoy because it's time for Lay Back with Betfair. I'm Tom Haylock with Salts. Dave, how are you, mate?
Yes, very well. Good to be here. Show number 2.
Yeah, I'm surprised you made it through last week after sipping the prop water.
Yeah, I've filled up some high-quality H2O this week, mate, so I'm good to go.
Very good, very good. We've got plenty coming up. We've got 3 Group 1s, Doomben Cup, Queensland Derby, Kingsford-Smith as well. Eagle Farm, after last Saturday was abandoned at Doomben, will postpone this Saturday. So hot day up north. We've also got a couple of races at Randwick, a couple of races at Caufield to touch on. We've got plenty happening, mate. Let's go to last week and see how we went.
Rosehill Race 6. It's a benchmark 78 over the 1800, and I'm going to lay Dynasties here. She's a 3-year-old filly. She steps up to open age out of a 3-year-old race last start and carries 7.5 kilos above the minimum. Certainly drifts late, and she's a horse that I'm going to be happy to be against on Saturday.
Do sir. Comes into barrier 14, as you said. Just maps real tricky. I thought had every chance last start. I concede that the pattern says she ran well, but I think she'll find a couple of others better than her. Race 6, number 1, Do Sir. She hasn't really done much to warrant her being so short. There you go, mates. Well, our best bets didn't do too good, but Dynasty's still running, and Do Sir is still, well, ran okay, but found one better.
Sat outside the lead. You should get a prize for how far your late's beaten by as well. Like you mentioned, it was about 32 lengths, Dynasties.
That's
still
right.
Going, yeah.
That's right. You did well there. Extreme Warrior as well was mentioned. I was pretty strong against that. That was no good and retired.
I think he pulled up 5 out of 5 lame, maybe. So
you don't say that, mate.
No, he didn't pull up lame at all. He just couldn't handle the heat. Yeah.
It's just no good.
Yeah.
Another 3-year-old to go down against the older horses in a good race. Let's talk about some lay-bins. And I'm going to go first here. Hitotsu injury. That's in the lay-bin. That's devastating news for the spring, and hopefully he gets through and races again, but not good news, mate.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they will go ahead. The decision's going to come by this weekend, but as we know, he's bred in the blue colt and he's got Group 1 wins to his name. And the current trend is he'll go off to stud, but it is devastating because we just keep losing quality horses before they get to weight for age superstars. So hopefully he can come back.
Correct. We talk about that with Extreme Warrior as well. Gone to stud, just another one. Yep. I'm putting LinkedIn in the lay-bin. Just because you reminded me, you set up on LinkedIn the other day, and
I did.
The state of LinkedIn on Twitter is brilliant. If you haven't followed it, follow the state of LinkedIn. It's brilliant. LinkedIn, like, give me a spell. It's sycophantic. Mate, it's guys just beating their own chest. This is exactly what you're doing.
No, I made it because I'm entering the professional atmosphere these days, and I made one and I put it together, and I thought once I put it together, I thought, geez, that's a pretty good CV.
Yeah, all you got to do is just talk yourself up once a week, and
exactly.
You'll be fine. You'll fit in. Has some benefits, LinkedIn, but in general, like, come on, there's some low posts there.
Yeah, I don't use it.
A lot of chest beating.
Want to be legit.
I'm putting friends with benefits in the lay-bin. You were talking about this off air. I just threw this up. This is just a little surprise. You not a fan of it? You're watching it during the week?
The think it was all right. I just thought they put Mila Kunis and Justin Timberlake together behind the camera and just expected some chemistry to come because they're both attractive. But I thought it was a bit forced, mate. Yeah. I thought it was a bit forced. I'll give it two stars out of 5.
Oh, we might do this a rolling thing. Salts' videos, movie ratings. We're both keen to put the Queensland Derby in the bin. What a low Group 1 that is.
Man, I don't even know 3/4 of the horses. I've done the race and I know them now, of course, back to front.
Yeah.
But looking at the race on face value, it
was a hard slog doing the form for it.
Yeah, oh boy.
SA Derby was a much better race than that, you would have thought.
Much better. Usually one flows over, but not this year in Queensland. But I'm sure one of us will find the winner or the lay, of course.
That's the beauty of what we do. You've got one other.
Yeah, I do, mate. This is a bit last minute. So you've rocked up. So last week you had a wired mouse, and it was dangling today. It was dangling behind you in the cafe on the floor like a little actual mouse.
Yeah.
And I've said, what's to go with that, mate? Like, are you living in some sort of time capsule?
Well,
and you've backed up with it again this week, and it's not only a wired mouse, it's a loud clicker too.
It does my head into loud clicks. But I'll tell you what, I took the non-wired mouse to the wireless is the word to Adelaide last weekend. Went to do radio with SEN and left my mouse in the studio. So this is why I have a wired mouse. So I can't lose it.
Oh, there
permanently
you go,
attached. Let's get stuck into the races. Eagle Farm, obviously, I reckon we'll be on about a soft 5 salts. If there's no rain on the day, it'll dry up considerably. It's a Crazy surface at Eagle
Concrete
Farm.
jungle.
It's amazing. Not one of my favourite tracks to bet into. 25 degrees, mostly sunny on Saturday. We head to the BRC Size Produce, the Group 2 there, race 4 on the program. Resonator's the favourite. He's $4.70. Corporate's about that $5.70 mark you can back him at the moment. You can lay him at $6, mate. You with him?
Yeah, he's not an easy horse to lay. You know, I'm not jumping out of trees to back him, but he led and he led last start and he ran decent time for the day out of those 4 races. And he responded over 1,200 metres in the wet, but I think the key there was he was pressured and he got eyeballed and he kept fighting. So when you're looking at a horse that's going to step up a furlong, Tim Clark retains the ride. There's a really good run in to the first bend from the 1,400 metre start. So barrier 12, although wide, is not a massive negative. And for a horse that just keeps trying and he's going to settle up on speed with a positive jockey on, I found him a difficult one to be hard against.
My first comment is easy horse to lay this. So we're against each other here.
Yep.
I do think he's a pretty easy horse to find reasons to be against him. I know he's got the racing style. He's in from a good stable. He's got the right connections. Tim Clark's a positive, great front-running rider. But he's coming off 2 tight track wins going to Eagle Farm. I'm dead set against horses that haven't raced at Eagle Farm, haven't performed at Eagle Farm. Horses just can't cope with it. This is a much different story. He's had 2 wet track, tight turning wins. Now goes to Eagle Farm onto probably a soft 5. I can find, plenty of reasons to be against him, up to 1,400 metres as well. Respecting his racing pattern, respecting connections. But just that first time Eagle Farm, what's he had wins at? Like 2 tight turning tracks. I'm just getting the form up. He's Canterbury and Gosford. Go to Canterbury, Gosford, heavy 9, heavy 8 to an Eagle Farm soft 5, completely different setup.
Gravy, isn't it? Yeah.
And when we did see him on a good track, he was well beaten in the Breeders' Plate, the Group 3. Obviously, probably improved since then. But anyway, we touched on this horse last week. The Doomben Cup obviously moved from last week to this week. Zaaki is the short price favourite. Again, he's pretty hard to lay. I find it harder to lay him this week. He's $1.42 on Betfair, $1.45 or something to lay. Eagle Farm helps him compared to a heavy 10 Doomben, in my opinion. And you've drawn the lay side of him. I can't lay him. But the good thing about him is liability. You don't have to invest much to actually have him against you or have the field for you. So he's the reason why I can't really be against him hard, but you're with him.
Yeah, I'm with him. He's, like I said last week, I'm very much reiterating a lot of the same thoughts in terms of the fact he's come in $1.45 to $1.40, and I think that's about right with the change in track. Look, anecdotally, I don't have a great history with betting on meets that have been delayed.
Yeah.
So, I'm not keen to step into
Makes
him.
you nervous, does it?
Yeah, but like you mentioned, he's very much favoured by this change of surface. The query was last week, if the rain came mid-meet and the track got bottomless, well, it's just flat out not going to happen. And he's won here over 2,200 before in the QET too. So he's here over 2,100. He races on speed.
He ticks the
you'd be
Eagle
crazy
Farm
to
box.
be laying him.
And also the main danger potentially is Polly Gray, who is a much better heavy 10 runner and now gets to a soft 5.
Yeah.
So I think he's a much better bet this week at $1.40 than he was last week. I think we're all in agreement there with Zaaki. The BRC Sprint, race 7 on the program. We'll jump a couple of races. Taxu is a favourite here, $5.50 at the moment. $6.20 on Betfair. You can lay him at $7. I want to hear you make your case for Taxu here, mate.
Yeah, well, another one that I'm not super keen to be jumping into myself as well, because there are elements that I'm sure you're going to touch on when you lay him that are pertinent and the reason why he's not a bet I'd love to have in terms of a win bet, but his best is on wet, so that's one thing that's against him. So he comes here to probably a soft 5. But one thing that is in his favour when it comes to potentially backing him is the fact he can soak up very fast tempos. So 2 back at Newcastle, he went 15 lengths faster than benchmark to the 600 and clung on quite well, and it's a race that's produced really good form out of it as well. So he settles handy to the speed. 1,300 metres is still a decent run into that first corner, so Pikey can find a spot for him, and he will give his all and try his heart out. I think the surface is against him, but he's fit and he's ready to soak up a fast tempo, which is what he's going to get today.
I know he's a big price favourite, but he's my lay of the day here, Taxu. Can't have him. Where does he lead, do you reckon? Or does he find a spot? What do you reckon?
I'm not sure if he can find a spot, to be honest, because there is a fair bit of speed underneath.
That's why I'm keen to lay him. There's a few reasons. That's one of them. Gospodin draws wide, has speed. Buffalo River's a leader. Holyfield, Emerald Kingdom, even Sir Warwick, if he gets a start, has speed. So high pressure race. That'll bring about his undoing. I think he'll find a couple stronger late. I really like the horse. I like his style. I like his pattern. I like him leading on bog tracks in Sydney, not on sand-based roads at Eagle Farm.
Would you say that you like his steez, his style, his whole demeanour?
What's that off? Another one of your
that's
movies?
Nelly, the rapist. Yeah. So anyway,
there you go.
Yeah.
Tax. So yeah, I'm keen to take him on. We could well be on a good track come race 7. If 25 degrees is 0 from 8 on a good track. His last run on a good track, he was comfortably beaten, even if soft track runs aren't his best. So 1,300 metres suits him, but I think he'll get swallowed up late. I'm keen to be against Taxu there.
Can I just lay me saying rapist instead of rapper or rapper?
I don't know what was going on there. I'll just let that go through to the keeper.
Well, lucky it didn't need to be fully edited anyway. But
oh dear. Race 8. Let's move on. Queensland Derby. We touched on this race. It's not a good one. Dark Destroyer is favourite. $4.20, $4.80 on Betfair. About that $5.20 mark, you can lay him at, and you are laying him.
I am. He does come through a fast race and a good lead-up race in terms of the quality of this race, but I really do feel barrier 1 is a negative for him today. If you watch the replay from his last win, it was in driving rain over the 21.43 metres, the classic distance, and he drew out there, and what the jockey could do is make his run when he saw fit, and he made a long, sustained run because he could get into the clear. Now, if this race becomes a sit sprint and all of a sudden he's 2, 3, 4 pairs back on the fence, I'm just not sure he's a push-button horse. So I'd like to be against him from that barrier.
Yeah, well, it's a completely different setup, as you said. He made a huge run last time. It was a long, sustained run around the field. It is a different setup. He draws inside, which is the query. But I think he can settle closer here, and that's a big advantage. You might be rolling your eyes, but I think he can use that barrier and settle a pair, if not 2 pairs closer, at least a pair closer. Yep. I thought Paternal had every chance to get past him last start. I thought he was brave. He ticked that distance. There was a query from a few people on whether he'd get this trip, but that run in the driving rain, as you said, on that heavy track, he was enormous. He ticked that box of, I think he'll get the 2,400 metres on the back of that. He fought off Paternal, who didn't go around a runner. As you said, it was a fast race. He rates highly. I think he is the horse to beat. I think it's the lead up for this race, and he is the beast. It is the horse to beat. Pinarello's an interesting horse there. Skipped last run due to a minor setback, which is a query, but comes with different form and got a bit of ability, Pinarello.
Yeah,
look at him.
He's drawn the car park and he brings good form over, the type of form that you'd want to be with. But like you mentioned about skipping that run, it's never easy to do coming into a staying trip.
All right, that is Dark Destroyer in the Queensland Derby. Let's get to the Group 1, the Kingsford-Smith, or another Group 1, the Kingsford-Smith Cup, 1,300 metres. Palele is favourite, probably joint favourite with Entriviere. $4.40 average odds on the corporates. About that $5.10 mark, $5.50 to lay on Betfair. Palele is a fascinating horse, one of the more interesting horses on the program or on the entire day. You keen to be with him, Dave?
Well, not particularly, but it's a horse that you can make a case for either way, isn't it? And I've drawn the backside, and there is a case to be made that he will run the 1,300 metres. He had the run last start. There's no denying that, and a tougher and better horse beat him in Marzu. But if you watch his work through the line, I still thought that he kept fighting really well. James McDonald sticks. He should get a similar run just off the speed as well. And he was 5 weeks between runs there. I think that's a really key indicator that he can come on from that and get 1,300 metres off that. On the other hand, you look at Entriviere. She had no back to follow and was the only horse in the race to make any ground on first and second. So it's easy to make a case for her as well. So it's a difficult one. What do you think? Yeah,
well, as you are aware, I've been laying these 3-year-olds against older horses all season and been filling my boots with them, Extreme Warriors. Again, I know the 3-year-olds Quinella the 10,000, but I think that race set up perfectly. I'm not sure that the depth of that race was that good on that bog track. I mean, Mizzou had all favours. Out of that 10,000, I'd be more keen to back Entriviere. She's drawn 17, which doesn't help her chances, but she was enormous there. I think the 1,300 metres suits her better, and I think a firm track suits her better. So I would lean the way of Entriviere out of those two. Palali's a 3-year-old that I am very scared of. He's got plenty of ability. We've seen him mix it with some very good horses. Obviously, the sprinters, Nature Strip and Eduardo in the past. He was well beaten by them, but he still ran well. I genuinely think there's some horses at the top here that are huge chances and massive odds. Like I could make a case for 4 or 5 horses at 20 to 1 that are big chances here. And this is a Group 1 race. You've got Private Eye, trialled okay leading in. Laws of Indices is a good horse. Ellsberg's got a good racing pattern, comes through with some genuine Group 1 form. Apache Chase is a good form. Sierra Sue's scratched, but she had Group 1 form. September Run, Brooklyn Hustle are Group 1 horses as well.
Yeah, I've been waiting for Law of Indices to recapture that Golden Eagle run, which was an absolute storm. I didn't quite come on with it last prep, but yeah, good horse.
He trialled well between runs.
Yeah.
I just can't get either Entrivier and Palali down to their prices. I just think they should be $8-9, and I think a few of those $20
and that's
shots
the field.
should be shorter.
Yeah.
It should be $8 or $9 a field. It's a great race, but yeah, I'm taking on Palali. I could probably lay both Entrivier and Palali and look to a couple of those to beat them. But beauty of Betfair, you can lay horses and take on Palali, and that's what I'll be doing. Let's get to the wash-up. We've got a wash-up this week, the weekly wash-up, and plenty happening in the sports this week. USPGA, just in time is my headline here. Now, I don't know if you caught much of it, but I want to read some stats from the USPGA. This is an amazing final round Monday morning. Pre-round, Justin Thomas, pre-round 1, pre-commencement, Justin Thomas traded $26 high. He firmed into $22 last traded price. He was 7 shots off the pace heading into the final round, Salts. He traded $790 in play. $23, or over $23 was traded on him at $500 plus, and he went on to win the tournament. Unbelievable. Mito Pereira was $510 at the start. He traded as high as $200 was his last traded price. So he firmed considerably before the event. That's before round 1. He traded as low as $1.27 before capitulating, double bogeying the last. I can't even talk. $1.27 Salts. That's an amazing capitulation there in the last hole, poor bloke. And Will Zalatoris was $55 into $44 pre-round 1, traded as low as $1.50. So you've had Pereira trade $1.27, Zalatoris trade $1.50, and Justin Thomas win. It's an amazing turnaround, amazing events. You've got a story for us on that too.
Yeah, a mate of mine in the lead up to the event was like, Justin Thomas will just win. He's going to peak. He'll just win. Backed him. All good. Even on the final day, he said, don't worry, boys. The tickets aren't confetti. He'll come back. He'll just win. He'll light it up on the last day. Just held on to his ticket. Justin Thomas won.
Wow.
Went to have a look at it, and he backed him in the wrong tournament. Oh. And I said, mate, did you see what he traded on Betfair that morning? Get a Betfair account and have a go.
I'll tell you what, there's no better place to bet on golf than Betfair. And it's as simple as that. Like, $20 shots at corporates are 50s on Betfair. It's the prices are amazing, liquidity no issues. It's absolutely enormous, and as you can see, $790, $24 traded at $500 plus. It's an amazing result, Justin Thomas. The second one, punching above your weight. Now, Punchestown, I don't even know how to pronounce it. Race 1, Tuesday night. A horse by the name of Sawbuck became the longest odds winner in Britain and Ireland history. Betfair starting price $1,000, if you don't mind.
Oh, boy.
Let's throw to the race.
But nearing the final flight, Sawbuck out in front. Jumps at about 2.5 in front, Ballybon Belter second, Vachito Lion behind them, female approach. Less than 150 yards to race, and out in front it's Sawbuck and Charlie O'Dwyer, leading by about 4 as they go to the line, and Sawbuck will win the opener for the O'Dwyers. Ballybon Belter second, Vachito third, Lion fourth, ahead of female approach.
Now, if a $1,000 horse wins, paid 300s on corporates or whatever, you've got to be a bit more up and about than that race caller. That is the worst race call I've ever heard, mate. Like, he's going in the lay bin for that. Get excited. Show some emotion.
Oh, man. Get around it, mate. Hey, speaking of punching above your weight, every time I'm out with a girl, people always seem to say it to the girl. It's interesting. Like, I don't know what the coincidence is there, but it's interesting.
You're an old romantic, mate. Who'd you watch Friends with Benefits with? That's
My Pillow.
Oh.
Yeah, it was good. I draw a face on it.
I don't want to go any further with this conversation, mate. The third of the weekly wash-up, titled Lion King. Pretty average headline. Max King is tied in the Brisbane Lions. Now, Brisbane Had a BSP of $1.38. They traded as low as $1.26 pre-play, $1.07 in play before losing to the Hawks. So that's huge. The flip side, Hawthorn traded as high as $14. So amazing turnaround in that match there. The Crows secured a Crows started $3.15. They got as low as $1.41 in play and lost. And then the Carlton Swans, Sydney got into $1.45 in play before losing. Both sides also traded as favourite pre-play, which is amazing. Doesn't happen very often. So Carlton as low as $1.80 and Sydney as low as $1.73 pre-play on the Friday night. Anything to add, mate? You watch any footy?
Yeah, big pies man, mate.
Oh, there you go. The umpiring can probably go on the lay bin too on the weekend.
I don't reckon it's the umpires, mate. I reckon it's it's coming from above.
Yeah, I agree. The directives. Anyway, there's been enough talked about that this year. Heavy track in Sydney. There's a shock for you, Sults. Shower or two potentially on the day, 21 degrees at Randwick. And we touch on race 7. We've got an interesting favourite here in Endermatt, $2.15, $2.25. You might get $2.30 Betfair. You can lay him at $2.52. You're with him?
Yeah, he's easy to make a case for. I think the fact that he's back in trip is the major positive. I was actually a bit surprised that they elected to go with that 1,300 metre race last start, considering he got a run in the 1,100. I guess they wanted to try him out, and he sat deep and he raced keen, so he had excuses. I think back to 1,100 metres is the positive. He's drawn a settled midfield in that running line, and he comes back to the scene of the crime 2 starts ago where he's run a career peak this track and trip, and he loves the wet, so I think he's easy to make a case for.
I'm against him here at the price, $2.25, $2.30, $2.40. If I can lay him at that price, I'll happily do that. Now, I've got an opinion. I don't have any stats to back this up. You might be able to help me out. Godolphin, blue colours, James Cummings, first up, second up, fresh horses. That's my opinion. I think they're much better stable when they're fresh. Endermatt's a much better horse when he's fresh. He's now fourth up into his campaign. That's a huge concern for me now. And because of that, I think Dragonstone meets at level weights from that 2.8 length defeat. But I wouldn't be surprised if Dragonstone's ready to go here, can turn the tables. Really interesting race. There's plenty of queries. All-time legend first up without a trial. Enchanted Heart trial well on 2 occasions. Might need to run. The face was lapped by Endermate on a heavy 10 at Canterbury, but different setup here and gets 8 kilos off. Lord Olympus and Southern Lad were in that takeover target as well. Both are unlucky. Real tricky race. I can't touch Endermate deep into the campaign back in trip. That's my query.
Fair dart. Let's
get to Coal Crusher, race 8 at Randwick. He's favourite here, and I know you're very keen to take this horse on, and I really want to know why. $4 to lay. You'll be taking some of that $4?
Yeah, I will. And he's 1-4 on the trot. So when you look at it at face value, you say, oh, well, it's hard to knock this horse, but he does face a stiff class rise. He's yet to win beyond 1,300 metres. When he won at 1,300 metres, he bolted in at Hawkesbury. It was a much weaker race. There looks a lot of pressure on paper here. I don't think he won't be leading. He'll get a nice run in behind the speed, but I think they run along. And something that's a glaring stat for him is over his 11 career starts, in not one single one of those, he has run faster than benchmark. Not one single race.
Yep.
So now we're looking at a horse that's never, ever run time that needs to get to 1,400 metres up in class on a fast tempo. I just think that last 50, 100 metres, he'll get found out and he'll start taking some short steps. I thought Animates out of the takeover target actually has 2 kilos less than him with the Dylan Gibbons claim. That's out of a much stronger race, and he ran on beautifully there, beaten by the barrier. You know, he goes close anyway if he draws a gate. And Grove Ferry is another one of interest. Second Oz Prep, nice trials. I think will be charging late as well. So keen to be against him.
Yep, I concede you've made a good case why you're against Coal Crusher. I don't disagree with a lot of that. And as you said, he hasn't run time. But he's won his last 4. He's flying. He does drop 7 kilos from that last start win. He was tough there. He looked gone multiple times down the straight. He was strong to the line still. 1,400 metres, I don't think is an issue with that weight drop. And he draws perfectly in barrier 3 to get plenty of favours. The wetter the better for him, in my opinion. I found it hard to find something to beat him. That's also my query. Now, you go through, there's not much in the race that's in form. And I'll read Kerwin's Lane, was 6th beat. I'll go through the last starts. Kerwin Lane, 6th beaten 2.6. Hand of the Truth, beaten 7 lengths. Arcado, 13th, beaten 7.5 lengths. Ashman, 7th, beaten 3.2. Monagle, 6th, beaten 3. Grove Ferry, beaten 2.7 lengths. Likely needs the run here.
Villiers.
Yeah, I'll get to that. 4th, Fender 4th. True Detective 7th, beaten 3.2. Star Spangled Rodeo 13th, beaten 10. Animate 6th, beaten 3. Constant Flight 7th in the same race, and Mr. Dependable first up for a
It's
year.
an absolute calculus class.
So there's nothing screaming out that they're flying here that can beat him. He's the horse that is the only last start winner in the race. I think he's a very dangerous horse to lay because he's a winner and he keeps fighting, and he's from that stable that just produced winners. But I agree. I think he's probably too short. I agree with you. I think Fender's got to be a huge chance. And I think Mr. Dependable and the stablemate Grove Ferry off trials that are pretty good. I've got a bit of time on the Mr. Dependable. I've backed him already at the big price. So I agree with you to a degree. I'm not keen to be with Coal Crusher at the price, but I'm not really too keen to lay him.
Yep.
Caufield. Let's head to Caufield. We've got a couple of races to touch on. Good 4, partly cloudy. Rail out 11 metres. 17 degrees. That rail out, what do you reckon will happen? A light breeze on the day. I don't think it will have a huge effect.
Yeah, the breeze won't have an impact. The last meet it was out as well, and it played quite fair, but goes out another 3 from that. I don't think you want to be too far off them.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they swoop later in the program as well, which you can do with a rail out 11 at Caufield. Yep. But really interesting, the 2 races we touched on, we'll get a good idea of the pattern. Grand Slam is the horse we focus on in race 7, the benchmark 100, 2,000 metre race. And I'll go first here, Salts. I'm with him. 2,000 metres, Caufield. Enough said. I don't need to continue. That's his go. That is absolutely his go. His peak ratings at this distance, he's 1 year 2 back. This track and distance, it was a brilliant win. He led, but he still managed to run the fastest 600 and 400 of the race, if you don't mind. So to do that early and to do that late is enormous. He won by 5.5 lengths, completely forgiving his last start at Warrnambool. Bottomless track. Inside was off, wasn't the place to be. Absolutely pennant. I think he pulled up sore from that race as well. He's obviously right to go here. Just question, if you put a pen through that race completely, does he start shorter or longer here?
Well, it would have been he's had a space between runs, so, but I guess he's in the Mar-Eustace stable, so he probably starts the same price.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yep.
Probably maybe a bit shorter actually without that fail, but I'm keen to be against him. I know he's got Linda Meach on, brilliant front running jockey. His 2 career peaks you mentioned at 2,000 metres, Hot Rail Moonee Valley.
Yes. Yeah, that was that day.
And complete and utter control. Jamie Carr again at Caufield last start.
That was 2 back, and he still ran the fastest 6
and
4.
Look, no effort drawn underneath, missed the start last start. No way in hell that they don't at least make him work.
That's the worry.
And don't doubt Dory as well, who led over 2,000 metres here, 2 back. Box seated at 1,600 metres last week on the backup lightweight, probably goes forward as well. He can lead, but I think he'll be forced to do it. Those 2 peak ratings, outside of those 2 peak ratings, he regresses several lengths. They're massive spikes.
Yep.
So he needs to emulate a spike to win the race, because if he's off his game, he'll be too far off it if you look at his historic figures. So he needs to really peak to win. I thought Pancho for Chris Waller.
I hate that horse.
Oh, yeah, I thought he missed the boat a bit last start. Probably didn't go forward, and they ended up walking slow tempo. He sat wide, but this is a horse that just loves fast tempos. His best win was a very fast tempo.
Speaking of high ratings and peaks, that win at Moonee Valley, he ran top 5 2,040 metre times. It's exceptional.
It was absolute time. He had the perfect trail. And I think he's desperate. He's ready to do something. And I've felt like he's been ready to do something for the last few weeks.
Yep.
I think this is the race. He wants a high pressure 2,000 metre race and strikes it.
There you go. Good case there for Grand Slam or against Grand Slam, however you want to play. You could almost, and it's a weird little method on Betfair, is to back him to win and lay him the place. Because as you said, he spikes, and if his best is good enough to win, but if he doesn't reach that best, he can often fail. So might be a little weird play there. Race 8 at Caufield, a benchmark 84, 1,600 metres. Hosey is an interesting favourite here, Dave, and you can go first here. You're keen to be with him.
What do you reckon about that song, Take Me to Church? Jeez, I found that one annoying by Hosey.
Hosier.
But yeah. Hey, Alana Kelly retains the ride. She's had 5 winners from 19 runners at 26%, combining with Robert Hickmont. So the stats are in her and the stable's favour today. Yeah. The claim ensures they're going to be aggressive early. They're drawn out, but he'll go forward. He's a horse that jumps well. He's got good gate speed. If you look at his setup last prep or his first prep in Australia, he bolted in first up 1,600 metres. He had 5 weeks off, and then he completely bolted in second up 1,600 metres. Gets the exact same setup. He's won 5 from 6 in Australia. The only miss, he was a miss in a strong form race, and his average SP in Australia is $2, and the longest he's ever SP'd is $3. And it just stacks up. He's a class horse, and I think he runs very well.
Yes, he's hard to knock, I agree. He does rise to benchmark 84 here, carries the same weight. So he's up in class carrying the same weight. If you're backing Hosier here, you have to be concerned about Flying Artie. Now, this horse is the other speed in the race. He'll make it a hot tempo. He's Waterhouse horse with Craig Newitt on. They won't die wondering.
Flying Artie back from stud, is he?
Flying Artie. Who is it? Flying, whatever.
Major.
Flying, yeah.
Yeah.
They put the pressure on. So roll forward, they'll put the absolute pressure on. Flying Artie was a great horse.
That thing's an absolute journeyman last start Eagle Farm.
Yes, correct. So that's Major Artie I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Not Flying Artie. Yeah, Major Artie. So that's a huge concern for me. High pressure. Like Craig Newitt doesn't die wondering. Is a real front-running, aggressive type rider, and we know what Waterhouse horses
Pulls
do.
the stick out the gates, Craig.
That's right. So I think it'll be a high-pressure race, and Hosier will be under pressure. Stays at 600 metres, which is a query for me as well. Visually impressive last time, but they didn't exactly break the clock. I thought he had every possible chance as well. They went slowly. They went 6 lengths slower to the 600 than benchmark. So controlled the speed and 1 length slower home. So they didn't even sprint that well. I just think a high pressure race, it might bring about his undoing. Reliable Dude ran second there, was on speed and then came out and flopped. A few queries. I can't get him down to that price for me, mate. What you can do now, we'll get your best bets and best lays, Sults. And where do we start?
Let's go to Randwick Race 9 for my best. It's a benchmark 78 over 1,300 metres, and this is on an each-way basis. French Marine.
This is funny, this.
Yeah. We'll get to it. And Frenchie, he was excellent in the provincial championships here. Very fast race. And then he went runs spaced. 2 scone last start, and he carried a big weight there, 61.5 kilos. Gets big weight relief this week. He's got 7.5 kilos coming off. He's got a lovely map. He was 5 weeks, like I mentioned, into that run last start, so he's fitter and he handles the wet. So, I think he went up the wrong price. I think he's still the wrong price, and I can back him each way and be pretty confident I'll get a return either way.
He went up a silly price.
Yeah, he went up a stupid price, and that halved, and I still think it's overs.
Yep. He went up, 21s or something?
Yeah, and then the thing that ran at Canterbury came out, and it was still $15-16 as well. So,
The beauty of Betfair as well, you can actually take that price and then hedge and lay off, and you can't lose. So now that he's shorter, he does meet Mr. Hustle 5.5 kilos better at the weights for that narrow margin. But I'm with Colino here in the same race, my best each way. If we run the Quinella, we're doing something well. We'll have something sneaky on the Quinella there, Colino. Colino, I know he's first up 1,300 metres, and you're going to throw that back in my face, no doubt. But loved his trial. He's been gelded since. I think his form lines read well enough as it is to run well in this race. Now, he's been gelded and he's trialled like an absolute jet. I love that performance. He's drawn well. I think he's a huge player here each way. Similar price to French Marine, and I'm going to have dinner on it. Colino beats French Marine home.
Yeah, that the overpass form is scary. And like you mentioned, trial well gelded. He's certainly in the mix. And, I think he'll run admirably behind French Marine.
What do you make of Sacrimony? They're the favourite.
Yeah, look...
Maybe that's our play. We can lay Sacrimony as well.
It's a long price favourite, but it's short enough off its last start, I think.
Well, there you go. Colino, my best each way. I've had one other bet, Majestic Shot in the 10th at Eagle Farm, $61. A ridiculous price for me. April Rain in the race as well. Probably better suited at Eagle Farm, April Rain, but 1,200. I think Majestic Shot, completely forgive that last run when backing up. Back and trip suits on a firm track. I don't mind that. I think it's just a silly price, $61. My best lay, I touched on it earlier, race 7 at Eagle Farm, number 16, Taxu. I don't like the setup, don't like the firmer track for him. We'll need it absolutely bucketing down on the day for him to get favours. And you are keen to lay which one?
Yeah, Cold Crusher, up in class, hasn't run time yet and keen to be against. I feel he's too short.
Beautiful, mate. Another solid performance. Were you better second up than first up? What are your thoughts?
I'm pretty good fresh. I'm pretty good all throughout the prep, to be honest, mate. So see how we go third up.
Not lacking in confidence either, mate. We need to get our best bets.
You ask, I answer.
Need to get our best bets up this week. No issue with the lays last week. But thanks for joining us on Laid Back with Betfair. We'll be back to do it all again next week. Gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858.